Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयामुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपाकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, text number, canto number 10, text number 70, canto number 10, chapter number 70, text number 25. Rajana uchuhu Krishna Krishna prameyatman prapanna bhaya bhanjana vayam tvam sharanam yamo bhava bhita pritagdhyah. Rajana uchuhu Krishna Krishna prameyatman prapanna bhaya bhanjana vayam tvam sharanam yamo bhava bhita pritagdhyah. Rajana uchuhu Krishna Krishna prameyatman prapanna bhaya bhanjana vayam tvam sharanam yamo bhavabhita pritagdhyah. Rajana Ayam tvam sharanam yamo bhavabhita pritagdhyah. Rajana uchu Krishna Krishna prameyatman prapanna bhaya bhanjana vayam tvam sharanam yamo bhavabhita pritagdhyah. Rajana uchu Krishna Krishna prameyatman prapanna vayam tvam sharanam yamo bhavabhita pritagdhyah. Word to word meaning. Rajanaha, the kings, Uchuhu said, Krishna Krishna, O Krishna, Krishna, Aprameya Atman, O immeasurable soul, Prapanna, of those who are surrendered, Bhaya, the fear, Bhanjana, O you who destroy, Vayam, we, Tvam, to you, Sharanam, for shelter, Yamaha, have come, Bhava, of material existence, Bhitaha, afraid, Pritak, separate, Diyaha, whose mentality. So translation and purport by the divine disciples of His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The king said, as related through their messenger, O Krishna, Krishna, O immeasurable soul, destroyer of fear for those surrendered to you. Despite our separatist attitude, we have come to you for shelter out of fear of material existence. Purport. Sridhar Swami explains that the kings present their entreaty in this and the following 5 verses. In this verse, they take shelter of the Lord. In the next 3 verses, they describe their fear, and in the last 2 verses, they make their prayerful request. So we'll recite prayers. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishram Shapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Guru and Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratvishe Namaha. Hare Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Sri Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Sri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Nilachala Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrabhyam Jagannatha Te Namaha. Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Seek blessings of all the devotees, especially Raseshwar Bro, His Grace Vallabh Chetan Bro, His Grace Anuman Bro, His Grace Kripanidhi Bro, His Grace Ajay Krishna Bro, His Grace Radha Murari Bro, Sri Chandra Bro, all those senior Vaishnavas. I feel myself very unqualified, unfit, and I feel myself like a big fool to sit here and attempt to speak. I desperately seek blessings of all the seniors so that I can be empowered to speak something. So we have this particular pastime of Jarasandha. Jarasandha, he was after he thought himself that he was victorious over Krishna in the 18th time, so he started showing his authority of his 10,000 elephants like all over the world, and different kings were not surrendered to him. So and then he captured all these kings, and he wants to offer them to Kalabhairava. So, and now in this particular situation, when they are about to be offered to Kalabhairava, so they have sent their message to all these kings, 20,800 if I am correct, 20,800 kings, like I read from Krishna book yesterday, that 20,800 kings, they have sent a messenger to Supreme Lord in who is there in Dwarka, and now he is an unknown messenger. It has been described, unknown messenger. When he came to the assembly hall, so then the messenger was been allowed inside with the order of Supreme Lord. So then the messenger started presenting the situation of the kings. So, this is how it started. Like this particular sloka is the beginning of this their request, their prayer towards the Supreme Lord. So I'll just take one of the very important word from this particular translation and purport. King say that despite our separatist attitude, we have come to you for shelter out of fear of material existence. So here this is something very, very important. Despite our separatist attitude, we have come to you for shelter. So here I'll just make a philosophical discussion in relation to this particular aspect of separatists, and then I'll just discuss few case studies and then conclude. So one of the very important aspect, of course kings are very, very exalted personalities who are praying to Supreme Lord. So but applying this particular aspect of separatist personally for myself, so I just thought of sharing few things, what exactly makes one separatist, little bit of philosophical discussion, how it is the false ego of heart, within the heart, which makes one separated from Supreme Lord. And this particular false ego, it begins with the giving up of true ego in the spiritual world. True ego of first it starts with envy, and then there is false ego, giving up true ego and then taking to false ego. So true ego is Jivera Swarupahai Krishnera Nityadas. So true ego makes us harmonize with Supreme Lord, and so one side it is false ego, other side it is true ego. So false ego, there is this aspect of pride, the false outlook which results in pride, and false outlook of oneself and the Supreme Lord, that results in the false conception, and that is pride. And true ego leads to humility. Third verse of Shikshashtakam, Trinadapi Sunichena Taroriva Saishna Amanina Manadena Kirtanya Sadahari. Taroriva Saishna Amanina Manadena Kirtanya Sadahari. So Amanina Manadena Kirtanya Sadahari. So there is one analogy I was hearing in relation to tree, how tree with lot of fruits, it bends down, and a tree with not much of fruits, it grows very tall, but it has no fruits and it grows very tall. So tree with a lot of fruits is these fruits are qualities. So more qualities, more fruits it signifies, and more there is bending, that is the more humility. And a tree with not much of fruits, it signifies the pride aspect, not much fruits and not much qualities, and the pride aspect. So Srila Prabhupada mentions that one has to become fire to enter fire. So to associate with Supreme Lord, that the more there are qualities, more there is fire, and more one can associate in the true ego, one can associate with Supreme Lord. So this particular true ego, it results in a very wonderful balanced consciousness. At the level of Trinadapi Sunichena, it is Kirtanya Sadahari, which is the Nishtha platform. So at this particular Nishtha platform, the influence of passion and ignorance is completely nullified. It is completely has become zero. So and below that, like below the Nishtha platform, there is passion and ignorance. And there is influence of passion and ignorance. So this particular fruits or the qualities, there are two categories. One is the primary and secondary. So the primary quality, the secondary qualities are Tatastha Lakshan, like which Titikshava, Karunika, like all that different qualities, they are the secondary qualities. And the primary qualities are the most important. The secondary qualities, they're like they are also important, but the most important, the most of the weightage results in the primary qualities, the Swarup Lakshan. So like the secondary qualities, I was hearing in the Bhaktivedanta Vidyapeetham that the secondary qualities, they signify the Swabhava, the external Swabhava, and the primary qualities, they signify the Shraddha in Guru, Sadhu, Shastra and the Supreme Lord. So that is a most important quality, the primary quality. So the third canto tells how, like one more aspect in relation to the material intelligence and the spiritual intelligence. Like third canto, there are different descriptions about how the creation takes place, and one of the point comes where the intelligence, the material intelligence, it comes out of mode of passion, and the spiritual intelligence leads to humility. So the spiritual intelligence, like it is completely different and it is transcendental to the material intelligence, and we see one of the pastime of Yamunacharya, where like in Yamunacharya Acharya in the Sri Sampradaya. So that particular pastime, like there are some Pandit, one of the Pandit Kolahala, he defeats in argument the Guru of Yamunacharya, and because of that the king makes a particular system that whoever gets defeated by this Kolahala has to pay taxes to Kolahala. So like every year they keep coming and they ask for taxes from different scholars and gurus who lost in their battle with this Kolahala. So this disciples of Kolahala, they came to the ashram of Yamunacharya, and Guru was not there. So and when Yamunacharya informed that Guru is not there, so then they sort of they very offensively spoke against Guru of Yamunacharya. So then immediately Yamunacharya strike back that like he corrected them that like the how this particular pride doesn't signify proper consciousness, by a certain correction. So it's like a very strong statement he makes that how the pride doesn't signify the proper surrender to pride. In fact, misrepresents Guru, and he actually, in fact, gives a point to Kolahala also. So, and anyway, the main point is the material intelligence is born of mode of passion, and it leads to pride. And the spiritual intelligence is born of humility. The true intelligence, the spiritual intelligence, comes with humility. And more there are wonderful qualities, and more there is spiritual intelligence. So the primary qualities or the Swarup Lakshan is the main key for becoming fiery, to enter the fire, or for the true ego to not get to not be separated from the Supreme Lord. And we get these primary qualities mainly by reading Srila Prabhupada purports. So Srimad Bhagavatam mentions, Sautama shloka mahanmukachyuto bhavatpadamboja sudakananila smritim punarvismritim tattva vartmanam kuyoginam no vitaratchalam varai. So the saffron dust particles of the lotus feet of Supreme Lord in the spiritual world, they come down through the sound vibrations of the pure devotee, Vishnupad we say, because the pure devotee always thinks of the lotus feet of Supreme Lord, and through their divine sound vibrations the saffron dust particles flow, and when they and when we hear from those pure devotees, then smritim punar vismritim tattva vartmanam, then the tattva of Supreme Lord, the position of Supreme Lord and our own insignificant position, and the truth gets completely manifested. Smritim punar vismritim tattva vartmanam kuyoginam no vitarat chalam varai. Matlab, the kuyoginam is yoga is connection, and kuyoginam is disconnected state, or the separated state we are discussing. So from that separated state, one get reconnected back to the Supreme Lord by the purports of the pure devotee Srila Prabhupada. So by hearing from the pure devotee. So this particular regular reading of Prabhupada purports is very, very, very important. That that is the only means by which we can remain connected. And this particular conviction in pure devotee comes by associating with these sadhus, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. So the sadhus who take the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, apply those particular instructions, make their very existence, those particular instructions, they keep propagating the conviction in the words of Srila Prabhupada. So there are so many powerful stories of book distribution that we hear from we came across about the impact of the purports of Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada disciples when they share their conviction, then we get connected to Srila Prabhupada very, very strongly. So by this particular connection we start developing, by this particular connection with Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, we start developing our connection with Hari, and we come out of the false conceptions, false convictions, false outlooks, and we move towards true ego, true convictions, pure convictions of Supreme Lord, the Krishna Tattva, and our own insignificant position, and our dependent position on the Supreme Lord. So all these aspects we understand by associating with the Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. So this is about the philosophical aspect, moving away from false ego and moving towards the true ego of connection with the Supreme Lord. And how the consciousness gets separated in different ways. We'll just make few case studies. When there is a disbalance in the consciousness, like there is one thing which is Lord Kapil Dev speaks in third canto that there is this particular aspect of Swabhava and Shraddha which I mentioned previously. It is mentioned in the third canto, Kapil Dev section. Like there is Swabhava and there is Shraddha. So like Swabhava can be in a mode of goodness, passion and ignorance, and like that is something external, like the secondary qualities of Swabhava, whether one is in goodness, passion or ignorance. So, and there is the primary qualities of Shraddha which can also be in goodness, passion and ignorance. Kapil Dev mentions in the third canto, and transcendental also. So this actually, this particular Shraddha in these different modes decides in what direction one is heading towards. So I'll just read out few of the translations of Kapil Dev. So there is one translation. So here Lord Kapil Dev mentions in 3.29.7, Lord Kapila, the personality of Godhead, replied, O noble lady, there are multifarious paths of devotional service in terms of the different qualities of the executor. And in the next sloka, Kapil Dev mentions, so this is a devotional service in mode of darkness. The devotional service executed by a person who is envious, proud, violent and angry, and who is a separatist. Here he mentions the separatist is considered to be in the mode of darkness, and the worship of the deities in the temple by separatists with a motive for material enjoyment, fame and opulence is devotion in the mode of passion. And when a devotee worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offers the results of his activities in order to free himself from the inabilities of fruitive activities, his devotion is in the mode of goodness. And of course, this transcendental or the pure devotional services, Anyabhilashita Shunyam Gnana Karmadi Anavritam Anukulyana Krishnanu Shilanam Bhaktirutam. It's the similar sloka which is there, and this is Bhaktir Siddha Garishati. So it is a same translation of Anyabhilashita Shunyam Gnana Karmadi Anavritam Anukulyana Krishnanu Shilanam Bhaktir Uttama Bhakti, the pure devotional service. So which is Anyabhilashita, matlab only for the purpose of pleasing Guru and Krishna. So there is no personal motive of like which is like passion, name, fame and all, or personal like motivation of envy, violence, or the motivation of freeing oneself from the fruits, which is the bhakti in the mode of goodness. So now this particular separatist aspect happens when there is a disbalanced consciousness. Like especially I was telling about the primary qualities, how it affects the true ego and our relationship with the Supreme Lord. So, and this particular primary qualities, it is in correspondence with the Shraddha aspect, the faith aspect, and this particular Shraddha aspect will be there in Guru, Sadhu, Shastra and the Supreme Lord. And the Shraddha, how it should be very balanced, and the balanced in sense how there should not be any passion or ignorance. Matlab, there should not be like taking one aspect and not taking the other aspect. Like one of the, I'll just tell some of the case studies so that the particular discussion will be more clear. So one of the example we see how in case of this Vivida Gorilla, that this Vivida Gorilla, he has faith in Lord Ramachandra, but he doesn't have faith in Lakshman, Guru, who represents the Guru Tattva. So now because of this particular aspect, we saw how he got disbalanced in his consciousness, and of course he was offensive to Lakshman, and that resulted in so many other things. Like he got into association of this Narakasura, and then he became very offensive, and he got astray away from. He displaced the Supreme Lord, and see, this is one of the example. And of course, ultimately at the end of the like at the end, he was destroyed by, he was killed by Balramji. And this particular aspect of accepting Lord Ramachandra and Lakshmana, rejecting the Vishnu Tattva, Lakshman. So this particular aspect we can see even in like in case like the consciousness, when someone accepting Lord Krishna and not taking not accepting Balramji, or someone accepting the Supreme Lord Krishna and not accepting the expansions of Balramji or expansions of Balramji, that is the Vishnu Tattva. So all the Panchatattva, like Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivaswati Gaura Bhakti Vrinda. So all the tattvas should be accepted in toto. So it like accepting any tattva and not accepting another tattva results in or rejecting or hating, that is a very risky consciousness. So we can see how this particular aspect of following the Guru Tattva is very, very important, and or else it results in the consciousness like this Vivida Gorilla. So like one of the distracted consciousness, we can see how like Prabhupada mentions that how the Sahajiyas, they take the pastimes of Supreme Lord in the 10th, the most confidential pastimes in the 10th canto, but they don't take the Kurukshetra Leela. They don't consider the pastimes of Kurukshetra Leela. So one should accept toto, all the complete message. It's not like taking one part and reject. Like Mayavadis also, they take one part and they skip those parts in Bhagavad Gita where there is supremacy of Lord. So one should take the total message, and that is the main point. So like one should accept the Supreme Lord in Vrindavan, and also the Jagannath who is the Supreme Lord in action, that is Vasudev. So like Dwarka Leela and also the Vrindavan. So the complete acceptance. So there is the statement, there are the Veda Vakyas where the Supreme Lord like mentions that he reveals his heart about his wanting to relish the mood of Srimati Radharani. And but there are Veda Vakyas and there are Abheda Vakyas also, like Srila Prabhupada mentions us that how we have to worship the Supreme Lord in the mood of Lakshmi Narayana. We have to worship Radha Krishna in the mood of Lakshmi Narayana. So like it is the total message, you know, that is a focus. The Veda Vakyas and Abheda Vakyas both have to be accepted. So the Supreme Lord in Vrindavan and Supreme Lord as Vasudeva both have to be accepted. So Krishna and Balram and his expansions both have to be accepted. It's not like only Krishna or rejecting Balramji. And we can see the other extreme also. That is the Duryodhan. Duryodhan, he accepted Balramji, and like a third canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, fourth chapter, it is mentioned. Vidura mentions that Duryodhana is Krishna Dvit, that is his offender of Lord Krishna. So he accepted Balramji, but he rejected Krishna. So this is other extreme mentality. So of course we see the consciousness of Duryodhana when he went to Krishna during just before the battle of Kurukshetra, that he wanted Narayan Sena, but he doesn't want Narayana. He was happy by taking only Narayan Sena. And of course Duryodhana wanted Narayan Sena, but Arjuna, he knows the position of the Supreme Lord. So when he's been given that particular option, he knows that how Aham Sarvasya Prabhu, like so, and then he chose the Supreme Lord. So the Toto aspect, that is very, very important. So Duryodhana, he is in the other extreme of accepting Balramji and rejecting Krishna, and Vivida Gorilla is in one side, like rejecting Lord Ramachandra and not accepting Lord Lakshman. So these are the two different extremes, that results in a separatist consciousness. And this particular aspect we can see how it leads this understanding Beda and Abeda of Balramji. What is, like Prabhupada mentions that what is the difference between Balramji and Krishna? Krishna is black, Balramji is white. That is the only difference. Both Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there is Beda and there is Abeda also. Both. So the Beda and Abeda both should be accepted in Toto. So then there is humility, the true ego, and there is true identity with the Supreme Lord. That one becomes fiery, and the primary qualities will be there. One becomes fiery, and one can enter the fire. But if there is any disbalance, like only taking only Beda or focusing only Abeda, like the Mayavadis, this Beda aspect we can see in the case of Sajiyas, as I already mentioned. Like they take confidential pastimes and they reject the other pastimes. And the Abeda aspect, like Mayavadis, they think that they are one with God and all that. So both of them land in extremes, and they get separated from the Supreme Lord. So like Sajiyas, they have this particular consciousness of accepting one pastimes, and not only that, they have this because of that particular aspect of choosing only one thing, one aspect of Supreme Lord and rejecting other aspects. So how we saw Vivida Gorilla, he trespassed so many things, like by offending, because of the pride, because of his association with Narkasura and so many other activities, and finally he got into such a very offensive aspect of offending the gopis of Balramji and all that. So we see that the false ego, this false conception leads to false ego and false activities. So this particular mentality of accepting only one pastime and rejecting or becoming offensive towards other pastime, it leads to this particular offensive consciousness. Like the Sajiyas, they become very proud of their bhakti, so-called bhakti. It is called as bhakti hota. They become proud of bhakti, and they start thinking that I can realize my Swarupa, I can know my own Swarupa, and all that they start saying. So actually one of the very important thing we need to understand here is how in false ego there is only false outlook. Actually one is already separated from Supreme Lord because of the false outlook, and with that false outlook there is a relative understanding of the absolute truth. There is not proper perception of absolute truth. So in false ego and in the false outlook, how can one realize the absolute truth, which is the Krishna Prem? Krishna Prem is realizing Krishna in toto, that how Krishna is so wonderful. Marobi Rakhobi Jo Ichha Tohara. How whatever Krishna is doing is completely wonderful. So that particular outlook won't be there. And one will be like when something good happens, he thinks this is very good. When something goes wrong, why Krishna is doing this to me? Or this is one of the false outlook of perceiving the mercy of Supreme Lord. And of course, the pastimes of Supreme Lord, that is much like offensive. So the anartha is nothing but the false artha, which is the relative truth, and Krishna Prema is absolute truth. So in the false conception, one cannot understand absolute truth of Krishna Prema. So that is the main point. So why I am telling this particular discussion of false artha, and there are many IITians who are well known outside world, that they are well known as famous for their material intelligence and all that, but because of they thought that it is the same thing of practicing bhakti and relationship with Supreme Lord also, and because of that particular pride, they lost that particular connection with Supreme Lord by getting trapped by so many Babajis in Vrindavan. There actually, I think someone might be knowing, those who are preaching. So how the many IITians got trapped because of this particular pride, and not having the humility of the spiritual intelligence. That is a true ego. So it is, things are not so one can easily get whatever degrees or marks or things like that, the things of this world, but to identify oneself with Supreme Lord, to that particular aspect of becoming fire to enter fire, it's not so easy thing like getting a project or something like that. It's something very internal. So this is something very important, that how one has to work on one's consciousness very deeply, that so that one will not land in the extreme consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada, I was discussing this particular point, Prabhupada mentions this point of how worshipping Radha Krishna in the mood of Lakshmi Narayan, and we can see this particular achintya bheda in every aspect of the pure devotees. So I'll just share one of the pastime, how one of the very famous pastime from Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaibhava, and then I'll conclude. So this is in Gauramandal Parikrama. So, and there is a attack on Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, murderous attack. So here it is. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was very strong in rejecting the caste Goswamis. So on 4th March 1925, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati again marched into the stronghold of caste Goswamis, Kulya, along with 600 to 700 followers, including many women, accompanying the small Sri Radha Govinda deities riding on an elephant. So this particular text is from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhava. After resting at midday in a dharmashala, in the evening the party reassembled at the spot where Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was to lecture. Shortly after the pilgrims arrived, some rowdies showered dust, dirt, gravel, cow dung and garbage on them, and raucously demanded that they stop kirtana. So you can see here this particular disbalanced consciousness. So but the parikrama participants sagaciously remained calm, and to avoid any affray, unobtrusively dispersed into the dusk. So they went away. They briskly returned to the dharmashala, being jibed at and threatened as they went. Considering that the parikrama would not be complete without hearing about the pastimes Mahaprabhu has enacted in that locale, the next morning 100 to 200 pilgrims, mostly males, returned to the place where they had been intimidated the previous evening. While Srimad Tirtha Maharaja was lecturing, a gang of ruffians suddenly appeared and pelted brickbats at the elephant's trunk. Parikrama attendees admonished the aggressors to desist from the offensive act of harassing the deity's mount. And to their surprise, the rogues departed. But minutes later, they returned wielding large sticks, which they had kept ready in proximate shops. The defenseless pilgrims quickly brought the deities of Sri Sri Radha Govinda down into their midst, thinking that surely these felons would not continue their atrocities in the direct presence of the Lord. Then a well-known rich man of Navadvip drove up in a car and barked out an order, upon which ruthless black guards lurking nearby, some perched on rooftops, let forth a volley of big brick bats. I'll just cut short. So then, of course, there is so much of mess. Like they attacked the devotees, and the devotees started running into different homes, and some of them didn't even allow also into their homes when they are running away, and some of them who allowed bravely, their doors were been very severely been beaten and all, and of course like there is a narrow escape that Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur made, and finally and it came to the notice of all the newspapers, and they one of the and many scholars also, they came to knew about it, magazines and newspapers. So 4 days later, Anand Bazar Patrika quoted an eyewitness. I witnessed the reenactment of what Jagai and Madai did to Sri Nityananda Prabhu over 400 years ago. Subsequently, the chief police inspector of Navadvipa was cashiered, and the next year Parikrama party was protected by an escort of 36 policemen. And when Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur was being urged to make a case, and you can see here, I was telling about Achintya Bheda aspect. So how you can see the caste Goswamis, they are very hateful and they are very offensive. So it was well known that it is said in one of the sentence that how the caste Goswamis are the main, they are called as Jati Goswami. So, and when Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur was being told to make a case, he declined, opining that they had done yeoman service. Otherwise, how could the Gaudiya Math have been featured on the front pages of all the newspapers? So there is a statement of Acharyas, the Achintya Bheda. So I'll just conclude, time is over. So I was telling about the false ego and the true ego aspect, how the false ego leads to separatist mentality, and by associating with the pure devotees, one will come out of the false conception and will come out of the separatist mentality. So I beg forgiveness for all the offenses, for trespassing in any ways. I spoke everything beyond my realization. I myself have a lot of hard work to do. Seek blessings of all the Vaishnavas. In case any seniors want to comment. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.